Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech, and we are here with a tokens deck tech. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm playing Token. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thank you for doing this. Now, I know that you play paper and you also play online.
Yep.
Could you tell us a bit about this deck and where it comes from, the genesis of it?
Sure. So, to the best of my knowledge, this is a deck created by Dexuxeicoff about 2 years ago. This has changed a lot in the last 2 years. This is a version he started running about a month or two ago. I know Bava, who writes for Magic the Gathering Strat, was playing it here at the last one and did quite well. He top 8'd. There's a couple of changes since then, but the 60 are the same. It's just sideboard changes.
Okay. So what kind of deck is this? How does it work?
So this is a life gain / tokens deck. The way it typically works is you're generating a ton of life. You have Soul's Attendant, Soul Warden, both at the 1-drop. Every creature that comes down, both for you and your opponent, is going to gain you a life. Squadron Hawk is just value. It can fill up your hand. There's also a couple of neat tricks you can do with that to help you discard, like Prismatic Strands. You, in some matches, kind of just want to alpha strike as fast as possible, so you'll go aggro, you'll play a bunch of things, and then you'll Guardian's Pledge, which gives all your guys +2/+2. Journey to Nowhere is your removal for the most part. Order of Leitbur, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is pro-black. So it's very good against like blue-black angler, mono-black control, things of that nature. I really like it in the main. You can also give it first strike or pump it up, and those off chances, it works wonders. Suture Priest is another life gainer / life loser. If your opponent plays a creature, they lose a life. That can be really important in, say, the Familiars matchup, and some of the sideboard tech is basically for protecting that creature in that matchup. Doom Traveler is just a 1/1 that comes down and comes back as a 1/1 flyer. Great value. Can swing in and you basically don't care if it dies. Raise the Alarm is a nice it's a nice trick that you can play on their turn, get more damage in on your turn. Usually helps with the alpha strike. Battle Screech creates the most creatures. It's a higher CMC 4, but then you can flash it back by just tapping down creatures. Tapping 3 white creatures. This deck is all white creatures. So you can gain 8/16 life and just kind of stabilize. And then there's a 1 Cenn's Enlistment. This card is great late game. If the game goes that long, you make 2 tokens and it has Retrace. You're playing 21 lands, so it really helps you like be able to keep your first 7, and then later in the game you can retrace and just make tokens. And last I'll mention the Quicksands. I was thinking of Desert, but the lists online play Quicksand. Desert's not legal online, but I really like Quicksand because it changes combat math. It can kill a Kiln Fiend, like straight up. It doesn't have to wait until after damage has been decided, so I'm running with it. I've had good success with it online, so I like sideboard. Real quick, we have 3 standard bearers. This comes in against things that try to pump up their creatures. I'll bring it in for Infect, I'll bring it in for Stompy. I'm sure there's some that I'm also forgetting, or maybe when I just want to protect a creature, so I'll bring it in against Familiars. Lumithread Fields, this is a card I had not heard of at the time of seeing this list for the first time, but the deck can get blown out by Shrivel or Electrickery, those type of effects. Giving your guys +0/+1 is really important in some matches. Also, after you've got the first one down as an enchantment, you can morph them, so you can play it as a creature, help get your beats in, and then if you need to, they try to remove it or something, you just turn it into enchantment and waste a removal spell, or just give your guys +0/+2 effectively. It's really good. It comes in I would say the vast majority of games. For Cloudshift, this is almost strictly for Familiars. It just lets me blank some of their spells, like if they try to snap my Suture Priest before going off, Cloudshift. I have one COP red. This is slightly different. They were running Rune of Protection. I didn't have one. The only difference is you can cycle Rune of Protection, and if I'm bringing it in, I probably want to play it, so I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And then 3 Prismatic Strands. This comes in against like any aggro deck, really, because they're going to try to hit me really hard, and I can just be like, okay, no. It's also really good against things that are trying to burn me out or burn my creatures. And that's pretty much it. That's the sideboard.
What do you think the best matchup and the worst matchup for this deck is?
I don't know exactly what the best matchup is. The matchup that I'm happiest about is Delver, because I really think it's strongly in my favor. You can look at links that Brian will hopefully post, and Dexuxeicoff has stats for all of this, but I think Delver's like 3-1, 4-1, and so like they're trying to tempo you out, and you're basically like gaining so much life that you don't care. A lot of times you don't even block with this deck. You're just like, yep, that's great, hit you. I'm also pretty happy with Mono Black Control having the protection in the main, and I think it's just relatively strong against that deck. And I expect to play some of those matches today. I'm less happy about some of the super aggro, linear, non-interactive matches like Infect or Hexproof. I don't think this is bad against them. I just think that it depends on what you draw, and they can kill you really fast. The match that I think it has the worst record against is Familiars, and that's why we have the 4 Cloudshifts. I am expecting that deck to do really well today, and I'm expecting to see it, so I'll hope for the best.
So what do you think what deck do you predict is going to win the tournament?
I think probably Familiars. Like, it had one in the top 8, and there were 2 Delvers, but there were also 2 High Tide. High Tide players are probably switching to Familiars or Delver, and they're also just 2 very solid decks.
Well, good luck today. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
For more great Magic the Gathering content, including some more Pauper deck techs here in the next week or 2, subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everybody who's over there on Patreon helping make this channel possible. And until next time, use the cards wisely.